Before the modern era, society was under the power of a religion. What is important in understanding religion is to put aside belief or non belief and keep in mind that it was a common culture in pre modern societies. Today, I live in an age of science, so it is natural that stories of spirits, gods, miracles, and hauntings are hard to believe, actually. But it is only in the last century or two that science has taken the lead. Almost until the beginning of the 20th century, societies everywhere were still under the influence of religion. Even today, in the 21st century, there are societies where religion is still a major force, such as Islamic world. Even in developed countries such as Japan and Western Europe, there are many people who believe in spirits, the afterlife, and pray to God. The United States, the country that has won the most Nobel Prizes, is also famous for its high rate of attendance at Christian churches. Looking at the world as a whole, religion is still an active and living culture. Looking back at history at large, it has been tens of thousands of years since humans began to communicate linguistically. For most of that time, humans have used their linguistic abilities to tell myth and in the name of God. We have kept the commandments and made offerings to the spirits of the dead. Because of this kind of long-term inertia, religious ways of thinking and customs may not change it so easily, just because a society has become more scientifically oriented. When monotheism began in the Middle East, Indians came to believe in the law of reincarnation, which governs the destiny of all living things, including animals as well as humans. In monotheism, after death, a person is assigned to heavens or hell by divine judgments. In the case of India, it is reincarnation that performs these judgment functions. Good people are reborn in favorable lives, and bad people are reborn in bad lives. It is all self inflicted. There is also the idea of escaping the bondage of this samsara liberations, cycle of reincarnation rebirth, paradises by practicing the Buddhism. The ultimate idea in Buddhism is to attain the state of enlightenment, also called the becoming the Buddha, while the ultimate idea in Hinduism is to merge with Brahman. The Chinese believe that the world and human destiny are transformed by two principles, yin and yang. ultimate source of yin and yang is called Taiji. Confucianism's belief that benevolence was the ideal for people to follow and encouraged them to be courteous to others, while Taoism is believed that the way was the model for people to follow and encouraged them to live naturally and without effort. Confucianism and Taoism is also recommended, seeking the one kind of enlightenment. A Buddhist style enlightenment person is a Buddha. A Confucian style enlightenment person is a prince. And the Taoism style enlightenment person is a hermit. The Oriental idea of enlightenment also governs the gods of the polytheistic religions. In other words, the gods also needed to practice for enlightenment. Monotheistic religions such as Christianity and Islam kicked the polytheistic gods to the curb. But the religion of India and East Asia incorporated polytheisms into their religion of enlightenment. It is a system in which both gods and humans follow the law of the universe and seek to realize them. Monotheism has developed in a way that denies the gods of polytheism. Monotheism claims that the various gods of the various peoples are all illusions. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all very exclusive in principle. The God of monotheism is a derivatives of influence of monotheism. Monotheism has a dilemma since there is only one God who stands above all are considered equal before this God. However, those who do not believe in a God are looked upon critically as those who disobey the truth. So, in effect, there is a discrimination of believers versus infidels. Monotheism had a bad habit of oppressing infidels while chanting equality, love, and peace. On the other hand, polytheists are usually tolerant of the religion of other peoples because they are used to having many gods. The gods of ethnics ethnics A and those of ethnic B are easily mixed up. In the ancient Roman Empire, Roman gods, Greek gods, Egyptian gods, Syrian gods were all worshipped freely. The Japanese seven gods of good fortunes are champions of Indian, Chinese, and Japanese deities. Hindu deities and Chinese Taoist deities, and Hindu Shiva and the Shinto specific deity. So, is monotheism a terrible religion compared to polytheism? Monotheism is with its fantasy that human beings are equal and that God was enthusiastic about charity for the weak. As the imagination of mankind gradually developed, people began to seek a spiritual power that could control the entire universe, entire world, and all of humanity. When this happened, the spirits of animism and the god of polytheism were not powerful enough. They only had authority over a very small area of the world. The god of fire only controlled the fire, and the god of water only controlled the water. Some gods were gods only for one village, some only for one ethnic group. So people began to seek a more dictatorial God that was higher than the gods of polytheism. There was a monotheistic God, the one and only God. The monotheistic God is an ideal being that is a projection of all the strength, goodness, functions, and effect that humans can think of. He can perform any miracle. He listens to the prayers of all humans. On the other hand, he also watches over all humans from the sky. He knows the humans good and evil. He gives liberations, divine and scriptures to specific people. People who receive liberations are called prophets. A unique, creative, omnipotent, and absolutely good, truly grandiose image. Regardless of whether such a thing really exists, people have come to imagine such a God. For modern Japanese people, important religious events are funerals and memorial services. Not everyone who comes to a funeral is literally believes in the spirits of the dead, but saying things like, "May the soul rest in peace," or comforting the bereaved by saying things like, "The deceased Mr. and Mrs. is watching over you in heaven." It's an animistic culture that still lives in, even if it is rhetoric. Japanese people call themselves non-religious, but the feeling of animism still remains strong. I have seen articles about people holding memorial service for dolls, tools, and robots in various places. In order to hold a memorial service, offering something to the spirit, the dolls and tools must have spirit in them. The invention of agriculture in ancient times seems to have heightened the sense of superiorities of humans over plants and animals. This is because the humans no longer depended on the bounty of forests and jungles. Humans began to control the nature by sowing seeds, harvesting, burning forests, and digging the waterways. Spiritual begins also becomes more like gods than spirits. As society became more unequal, the wealthy and the powerful begins to have more influence, and the image of heroes and kings was projected onto the heavens, and each ethnic group began to worship gods who looked like invisible kings. Thus, the fantasy of Polytheism is developed. Each household, villages, religion worshipped its own unique gods with which they had a connection. So if you added up all those gods, you get the polytheisms. Also, since gods are the projection of human desires, the personality of the gods will be as diverse as other type of desires. In that sense, there will be multiple gods. Belief in gods, polytheism also had psychological effects. In polytheist fantasies, if you worship the god of fertility, he will bring the rain and make your crops ripe. If you worship a god of war, he will help you win the war. It is questionable to what extent people in the past expected the efficacy of these gods. Even if you pray to a god for rain, it does not necessarily mean that it will rain. However, even today, people dedicated votive practice to shrines to pray for success in exams, beliefs, and fortune tellings, and try pseudo scientific health methods. It seems that humans prefer to believe in fantasy rather than in raw reality. Many believe in gods are community events. Therefore, it also has the effect of raising the people's sense of community by believing in the gods. Even if rain making does not have a meteorological effect, villages can share the sense of crisis when holding a prayer event. Pray unto a war god for victory, also raising the morale of soldiers. If believing in gods has such a psychological effect, then it follows that belief in gods also has significant social function. Today, the collective enthusiasms and rising nationalism is seen as sporting events and national events can be said to be similar to event worshipping the gods. What is religions? For the time being, let me define it as cultural style that presupposes the workings of irrational and scientific beings such as the spiritual and the gods. To put it more simply, it is a mm, culture that speaks of spirits and gods. Religion that the fantasy of spirit and gods often provides the believers with something like moral admonitions and guidelines for life. It is useful to divide religion into the following categories based on what they presuppose. Animism is belief in the spirits of animals and natural object ancestors. Polytheism worshipping gods with various powers. Monotheism submitting to the authority of the one only God who is a dictator of the universe. Religion of enlightenment aiming to realize the mysterious laws of life. I believe explanations of each by each. Animism is belief in spirits. Agriculture is said to have begun about 10,000 years ago. Over the course of several thousand years, agriculture spread to various places. But even before that, humans lived by catching animals and fish and gathering nuts and whether they went. For humans at the time, nature was like an absolute warmth that enveloped them. Humans simply lived by receiving the blessing of nature. They should not have had any self consciousness that they were superior to the beyond of the natural world. Even today, hunter-gatherers are said to live on the equal footings with the animals of the forest and jungle. For them, animals that have the same consciousness as humans. They communicate with animals in the same way that humans communicate with each other. Both animals and plants have spirits and send message to humans. Of course, this is anthropomorphic fantasy. But just as people who have pets are better at understanding the language of dogs and cats than people who do not, it seems that they accurately grasped the ecology of animals and plants. The culture of living while sensing the spirits that fill the natural world that is invisible conscious beings is called animism. Anima means spirit or soul in Latin. In the belief in spirits and soul, the spirits of the humans and ancestors play another major role alongside the spirit of nature. In some cases, animals, spirits, and ancestral spirits are lumped together. Animistic culture continues to live on in funeral and memorial services. Confucianism is a religion in which the custom of worshipping the spirit of ancestors grew into a religion in historical times. On the anniversary of the deceased's death, the children of the family wear the skull of the deceased, and it becomes a katashiro substitute on which the spiritualist resides. As a medium place, ancestors return to this world in this form and commune with their descendants. The skull eventually became a mask, which in turn became a board with the name written on it, and evolved into the Ihai memorial tablet the Japanese people place in their Buddhist altars and worship today. This is a tool for Confucians, spiritualisms and the home of Buddhisms and ancestry. Animisms rise behind Confucianism.